Hey, campers! Hey, campers, and welcome back to Camp of the Inn of the Psalm of the Na, Camp Insomnia. I am your head camp counselor, Zach.
And I am your head counselor, Devon. Sorry, I'm thinking right now, I'm like, insomnia.
I'm like, are you?
Insomnia. Wow. There's a lot of syllables. I never thought about that.
I was like, are you okay?
I'm sorry.
Ooh. Hi.
I haven't gone to college in years.
I'm
a little out of school.
Count your syllables. Okay. Hi, campers. Welcome back to Camp Insomnia. We are a paranormal and true crime podcast. And if you are new to camp, welcome.
Yikes.
You just came in. We are very chaotic. We are a different kind of vibe and personality. And hope you can just blend in with us because we're pretty fun. And we're just here to have a good time and laugh and be spooked.
Mm-hmm.
So, welcome to camp.
Yeah, welcome.
And if you said, wow, this is too much for me, you dipped, it's okay. All good.
You want to
Just
stay
please
around
leave
for
us
this
a
one.
thumbs up and leave us a really nice comment.
On what we can work on, apparently, if you're leaving.
Give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, please. Thank you. Anyways, hi campers. Welcome back to camp. News. Any updates in Zach's life? Well, we just got done recording the campfire episode, which you have all listened to. Hopefully you had a good laugh. And loved me singing Selena's music.
Mm-hmm.
Any other updates on Zach's life? No. Hungry. Devon's been eating fucking Krispy Kreme donuts in front of my ass, and my fat ass is like,
bitch.
icing bread, the carbs.
You gave away my update. I had a goddamn donut.
Yes, you did have a donut. That's a pretty great update. I'm jealous.
I know. Wait, no, we have a real update.
What?
That you might come and see me soon. Maybe.
Oh, yes. That is an update. Mm-hmm. I might come visit Devon. There's a huge, it's like a 50-50 shot. So we'll see. But if I do come out to California, campers, we will be doing some spooky stuff, recording it, and then sharing it with you all.
I was going to say, yeah, we could do that. We could fucking finally do that.
Yeah, exactly. We can do ghost hunting and you guys can tune into our YouTube channel if you're not watching it already, which you should. You'll get to see us do ghost hunting and stuff. What? Why are you laughing?
I got so excited. I looked over at my girlfriend and she's looking at me like I'm fucking crazy.
You did. I mean, we haven't seen each other. When's the last time we saw each other? My birthday, right?
It's been a year.
No, it wasn't my birthday.
Yes.
It was.
Yeah, it was your birthday. Not this past year, but the last. Mm-hmm. No, we're wrong. Last March.
No, last March. Yeah, you flew out.
Mm-hmm. So it's been almost a year.
Yeah, almost a year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I hate that.
I know.
Anyways, we're going to see each other soon, hopefully. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
That's still really exciting. So everybody manifest that we get to hang out together. Manifest that. Also, if you want us to go do some spooky stuff, we might start our GoFundMe if you want to fund us. Because we're broke little bitches, that'd be great.
Yes.
That's a mood. We'll let you know, though. We'll let you know. Anyways.
Specifically to
today, campers.
What? Excuse me?
Yeah, so you really want to, if you're watching YouTube, we really want to go here. Sorry, I'm hiding my nipples. We want to go to Zach Bacon's Haunted Museum. Just saying.
Exactly.
Anyways, okay, campers. So today we have a very terrifying installment for why you should never go into the forest. Yes. So that's always been a tip since the second episode of camp, and it's on number 2 on the bulletin board is never go into the forest, especially alone. That's in brackets. It's don't go to the forest, and then in brackets alone. Yeah. So get ready.
Oh, I'm excited.
Get your hiking boots on.
I'm so excited.
All right. So without further ado, let's gather around this campfire. All right, campers. What do you bringing?
I was gonna say, hold the fuck up. I gotta get there too.
What are you bringing?
I'm bringing some. Well, see on this one, shit. I'm gonna switch this shit up because I ain't about to get ready for the woods. So, bring your flashlight. Bring a lantern, bring some emergency glow sticks, a first aid kit, something, just in case, because if this fire goes out, we ain't gonna see shit. And your blankies and your marshmallows and everything else, you know. Let's see, tip for camp, tip for camp. Oh, actually, let me tag onto that. If you're gonna go into the woods, if you are, obviously your buddy, and bring a first aid kit, an emergency water, or one of those life stick water things, you know, that you can just put into the river and be like, I'm not gonna get any fucking parasites today.
No tapeworms.
No tapeworms, yes. So yeah, there we go, be prepared.
That's good. That's a great tip. And you're going to learn a lot of really more tips to add on top of that in this episode.
I'm ready.
So you might want to get a notepad out. All right, campers. So we're going to revisit the infamous woods and forests across the United States, and kind of really everywhere around the world, but mainly the United States. So to all of our listeners that are in what? Belgium, Germany, Tokyo, Canada, London. Where else has there been recent?
That
we've seen on our
Guam, Dominican Republic.
Dominican Republic.
Fuck, we're a little bit everywhere, to be honest.
Yeah, so if you're any of those places, we will cover spooky stuff happening there too. But just for this episode, we're going to talk about the national forests and parks in the United States. Because the United States is really massive. Like, it's huge.
Yeah, exactly.
We got a lot of parks.
Yeah.
Why? Because we love nature, but then we love destroying it. Anyways, that's another story for another day. So we're going to have to walk back in, and, you know, maybe we'll find Jake along the way.
Oh, little Jacob.
But we are walking in and talking about the missing people and strange experiences hunters have had in North American forests.
Okay, cool.
So before we've talked about random visitors coming into the park or people camping, now we're talking about hunters, people who hunt deer and elk and boar and all sorts of stuff.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So these cases, stories, experience are from this documentary I watched. This documentary is based off a book called Missing 411. It's called The Hunted. I highly suggest going and watching it. You can find it on Amazon Prime. Like, we're not sponsored by them, but go to Amazon Prime. You can watch it. It's free. It's called Missing 411, The Hunted. I kind of do like a breakdown of the entire documentary. But I would suggest go watching it. It's cool because you get the music and you get the videos and pictures, you know, and everything. But you're here to listen to me.
Exactly.
So before we crack into the story, if you haven't listened to part 1 and part 2 of Don't Go Into the Forest, please put this on pause right now and just go take a listen to episode 2 and episode 22 where we talk about it. So you'll get a really good inkling of like where this episode will be going, and also hear a lot of the other crazy stories that I've told in the past about things that go on in national parks.
Oh yeah. And just a little tidbit that I want to throw out there. If you don't believe about going back, you're going to miss out on people with having Swiss cheese guts. You're going to miss people finding guts in trees and little boys coming out of the woods and like a whole bunch of crazy shit. Yeah,
people with no faces chasing you, shadow people. We talked about literally people disappearing in mid.
Yeah, literally.
You'll miss all that.
Yeah.
So I suggest going back and listening to episode 2 and 20.
Yes.
Please and thank you. All right. So they use a quote at the start of the documentary, which is what I'll be starting off here for all of our campers. And it helps set the tone of this episode. So this quote comes from Thomas Jefferson. And the quote is, "For here we are not afraid to follow the truth wherever it may lead."
Oh, wow. Intense. I like that.
Intense, right? And that's kind of like our podcast too. We're not afraid to follow the truth wherever it may lead. You know, either it be paranormal or true crime.
Yeah.
So David Paulides, who is the author of the Missing 411 books, he's also a PI who investigates the odd disappearances of people in the North American woods. He has over 8 books about the subject and has dedicated his life into finding these missing people to trying to provide some kind of explanation for these odd disappearances. So that's his whole get-go. So in this Missing 411, he dives into the craziest and strangest stories of experienced hunters and survivalists who many know are great outdoorsmen and very knowledgeable of like the terrain that they are hunting on. And they know like a great deal of wildlife and survival. It just makes it all the stranger when they disappear without a trace.
Yeah, it's like these ain't no amateur hunters not knowing what the fuck they're doing and just things happening to them. Like, these people have been trained and they have been doing this for many years and experienced.
Exactly. So, fun fact, for those of you who didn't know, the FBI does not investigate missing adults. They are instead put into a subcategory for the FBI that they can become involved in the disappearance of extremely young children under a certain set of criteria.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
So why would the FBI become involved on this case that we are about to talk about?
Okay, let's see.
Okay, so here we go, campers. Eerie music now. Okay, so a hunter named Thomas Messick, who in 2015 went missing in northeast New York in Albany. He went missing on September 15th of 2015, and he was 82 at the time. So an older man. Mm-hmm. His wife would go on to say that he loved the outdoors and loved being out in nature. Hunting and fishing were his life. He loved it. His wife goes by the name of Beverly Messick. She has been Tom's wife for 56 years.
Oh, wow. Oh.
That's like long.
Yeah.
So she would then go on to say that he was such a lovable man. And like there wasn't anybody that didn't love Tom. He was such a great guy. Everybody got along with Tom. So they too had 3 sons together, Tommy, Gene, and Rob. His son Rob would then go on to say that he was a very hard worker. And just as much as his father was, he was one as well. He tells a story of how they raised the foundation of the house that they had. And so his son Rob, that goes on to say that he was a very hard worker as much as his father was. So he was one as well. He then tells a story how they raised the house to put a foundation on underneath. And Rob was underneath the house to raise the foundation. He looked at his father, Tom, and was like, why don't we just get a backhoe to do this? Like, why do I have to do it? And so then Tom then jokingly pointed at Rob with one hand on his cup of coffee and the other at him and said, I have one right here. You.
Damn.
But being silly, right?
Yeah.
And it was a fun, memorable moment. One of their activities to do as a family was to camp. And at a very young age, all of his family were expert survivalists in the woods. They knew the ins and outs of the forest and what to do if you were ever injured, lost, needed shelter, food, water, etc. Tom even taught hunter training to all the kids and friends' kids when they would go out there on their hunting trips every year to the cabin that they owned with 4 other families.
Oh, wow.
So he would teach hunting and survival classes professionally. Plus, Tom was also an airborne ranger. And with all this knowledge, he was like very experienced.
Oh, yeah, completely.
Like experienced to the max. So on September 15th of 2015, the day that he would go missing, Rob, his son, was hunting with him. He would then say that even though he was 82, he was moving fast, he was in great health, he had no body aches, his memory was fine, he was healthy. He was sound body and mind. Mm-hmm. There's nothing to be worried about,
Yeah.
So they took a dirt road to Lily Pond, which is 2 miles and takes about 12 minutes to drive from the campsite, from where they were at, to Lily Pond.
Okay.
Not bad.
Okay.
They headed out kind of late into the day, just after lunch. They would hunt there for about 2 hours and then head back to the campsite and then hunt after dark there. This would be the first time most of the group hunted at Lily Pond Road, including Rob and his Tom dad, because they never really hunted there before. They would go to another lake to hunt. So they had a party of 7 hunters in total, so 7 people. Mm-hmm. Tom and the 3 others stayed at Lily Pond to hunt by the lake, while the other 3 young men, Rob and 2 others, took a trail up to the mountain. So, okay, well, you're watching me. So here's the pond. Boop. Some stay by the pond, and there's a little mountain over here. The others take a trail, and they go up the mountaintop.
Yeah.
So basically, they all lined up on the road in 60 increment yards, sat down, and waited until something came for them to hunt. This is so everyone knows where everyone was and just close enough in proximity to hear each other's if there's a shot. So the line went like this. It went Al, who was the closest to the pond, truck, parking, where they parked the car. It went Al, right, and then 60 yards. Sid, 60 yards. Joe, 60 yards. And Tom. Tom was the furthest out. He was the furthest up on the road, away from the pond. So because the party split, the young men told the 4 guys sitting on the road in the trees that if they saw any deer, that they would try to push them towards them so that they can shoot. That was the whole point. They were watchers, so that if anything came by, they would kind of scoot the deer in that direction so that the other hunters can get them. Which is smart. Like corralling them. So, but Tom being a watcher, he wouldn't leave his post. He was just meant to sit there and help lead the deer to the other hunters, just like the young men at the top of the mountain hill. Because it was both ways. If the men at the top of the mountain saw deer coming, they would push him down to the older men. Older men saw deer coming, they would push him up towards the mountain for them. You know what I mean? So, where Tom was sitting, he was sitting on a log, like maybe like 6 feet away from the road. Just sitting there with his gun, just keeping an eye out. So Tom was wearing a red plaid cap, camouflage jacket, and duck boots. On his person, he carried a walkie-talkie, a rifle with 3 to 4 bullets, and a snack. As Sid, one of the hunters, was sitting in the woods quietly, patiently waiting, he starts to hear a very strange noise coming from the deeper part of the woods. He would then say this odd, scary sound came from somewhere on the top of the hill at about 150 yards from where Sid was sitting. This odd sound happened a few times, but nothing ever showed itself. So after about 2 hours, no one on the hunting team spots wildlife. Like at all. Not even a bird. Not even a bird, not a squirrel, nothing. Everything's really quiet.
That's kind of
like
weird.
The whole forest is quiet. It is. Like the whole forest is quiet. So at approximately 3 p.m., the men gather at the vehicles and start to radio Tom. Everyone in the hunting party had a walkie-talkie. So after calling him over and over the walkie-talkie and not getting any answers, the hunting party goes out to where he was sitting on watch to go grab him. They're thinking maybe his walkie-talkie died or he simply turned it off by accident. But even then, Tom should have been back by now because they were all supposed to be back at the truck by 3 p.m. When they got there, he was nowhere to be found. And as they were yelling his name in the forest, they even shot off some gun rounds in hopes that he would hear it and head that way. So some of the crew went down to camp and called the rangers. Meanwhile, the rest of the group kept looking. It starts to get dark and the team is very worried. So the group decides to split up. 3 go back to camp and the others stay at the truck overnight. They stay there all night, honking the truck horn and firing shots, yelling and making as much noise as possible. So that if he wandered off or went to go chase after a deer, he could hear that and make his way back in the dark.
Exactly.
But they couldn't find him. He had vanished.
What the fuck?
So the small town next to Brant Lake called Horicon was the staging ground for the search of Tom. The formal search would begin in the early morning of Monday, September 16th, so the day after. The state police and search and rescue teams said that during their search that it was very odd that the entire forest was devoid of wildlife.
Yeah, exactly.
So even the police and SAR people are out there searching and there's no birds, chipmunks, squirrels, deer, bear, nothing. And they said it was like there wasn't any signs of wildlife out there for quite some time.
That's so odd.
Because there was no signs of it either, like no nests, no disturbance in foliage.
Stuff like that.
Tracks, nothing. So the Air National Guard would soon step in and they would comb through the mountainside with their infrared, right? Their helicopters, but no luck. And confirmed also that there were no signs of wildlife in the area.
What the hell?
Because it would have picked up, like, thermal, it would have picked it up. Something. Nothing. Nada. And it was a huge, I'll have to show you the map. Like, they surveyed this entire thing and caught not one sign of wildlife.
See, and this is strange enough as it is. Like, 1, you already have someone missing. 2, where the fuck are all the animals?
Exactly, where are the animals? So they had helicopters in the sky looking for them. The whole community of Horicon, like, comb the forest, the swamps, roadsides for like any signs of like him or like worse, a body. So in the coming days, they would have 50 to 60 fire department and police organizations helping with the search for Tom.
Wow.
Everybody. SAR would even bring in hundreds of SAR-trained dogs to help with the search. Some people made the comment like, who is this guy? Like the governor's kid?
Because there's so many people helping.
Jesus. Exactly.
Wow.
So they ended up making a conclusion pretty fast that an animal didn't take him. An animal didn't kill him because his clothes and blood would have been scattered everywhere. Yeah. And it would have been really easy to find. They wouldn't find anything on his person besides like a walkie-talkie, a gun, a hat, a snack, a jacket, nothing. They found nothing. Like usually maybe he dropped something.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe he found his hat, nothing. They found jack shit. So on the second day of searching for Tom, suddenly 2 FBI agents arrive. And if you remember, the FBI does not investigate missing adults, and the state police never got wind that they were going to be there for help, but they just suddenly arrived. And they thought, oh, maybe they're here to offer like technical support because they're like the FBI. But it was anything but that. Instead, they would be collecting statements from people. They pulled his wife Beverly in and told her this. Something is definitely not right here, but unless and until they made a recovery, they wouldn't know what it was.
Ooh, that's freaky. What the fuck?
Yeah. So the 2 agents would then arrive at the scene by Lily Pond Road and start to monitor the situation, offering no help but watching and taking notes. Whenever the FBI is stating that they are monitoring, that means that all they're doing is taking notes and writing reports. And those reports go to the behavioral analyst in Virginia. And what their job is to look for other cases that might match the profile that they are writing about.
No, I don't like that. There's something fishy going on.
No, it's very sus. Yeah. Exactly. So David Paulides, the PI, he states that he has found reports dating back to the 1960s showing the FBI has monitored numerous missing person cases that are eerily similar to Thomas Messick's case.
Okay, interesting.
So the formal search for Thomas Messick ended November 26, 2015. And he went missing on September 15th.
Wow. So they tried looking for quite a while.
Yeah, like almost 2 months.
Yeah. They usually they usually don't give up until it's been about like not even a month.
Yeah. Sometimes they give up in like a matter of a week.
Yeah.
So, in the 3 years following the disappearance, search efforts have continued and failed to locate Tom or any of his belongings. And he had a rifle, he had a bunch of shit. They didn't find nothing. Nothing. Not a damn thing.
I don't like this.
So even if they found Tom dead or alive, they wouldn't know what truly happened to him. And the FBI in this documentary, they were called repeatedly for like comment. They never returned or even said that they were involved in this Tom's disappearance. So if you go to Tom's, yeah, it's weird. So if you go to the location of Tom's last known sighting on the road, where he sat, you can see a cross and flowers left for Tom.
Oh,
by his family.
Oh, that's so sad.
So these are some things I really want you to remember. Okay, so here are some things that connect all the missing 411 cases. And these are like their profile points. And I want everybody to really pay attention to this because you will see these things I'm going to point out are very common in every single missing case that happens in national parks and forests. Mm-hmm. So the first point is point of separation. Mm-hmm. If the victim is with others and decides to move away from them and be on their own, that is a point in time something happens and the victim disappears. Mm-hmm. Remember, where it's like, oh, I'm going to run up the trail, be ahead of you a little bit, and then poof, they're gone.
Yeah, every time. Every time. So next one is canines can't track. Mm-hmm. Canines can't find a scent, or they do, but they lose it very quickly. This one is very common and is seen in almost all the missing person cases like these, right? They'll pick up the scent and then it's like, it stops right there. It's gone. Yeah, it's totally gone.
It's gone. Poof. So time of disappearance. The most common time for a person to disappear is in the mid to late afternoon hours.
Yeah.
Another point. Yeah, right. Another one is boulder fields. granite boulders, and rock fields, victims are often found to disappear in these areas of granite or rock fields.
Oh my god.
Another point.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the forest.
So
the forest is all
one-
the fucking same, but like I didn't think about that.
Yeah, and we've talked about some where people go missing or have been found in a rock quarry or like a rock field of boulders. Another one's near water. Many people go missing near water. Another one is a weather event. There appears to be a weather incident that has close proximity to the time that the person disappears or when the search starts. It can be a severe thunderstorm, a blizzard, a dust storm, etc. Another one is a disability or illness, usually after the victim is found to have either an obvious or subliminal disability or illness. Another point is found in an area previously searched. The victim will be found in an area that has already been searched in an area dozens of times. Which you talked about before in the past, where they go over an area and they haven't found anything, and then suddenly they come back and there's like a hat and pants.
Or like the stairs.
From the victim.
The stairs when they found that little boy.
Or like the stairs. Exactly. Missing clothes, never to be found or traced. A common trait is that these victims are missing clothing or shoes at the time that they are found, but those items are never found again. Unknown cause of death. If the victim is found and they are being medically examined, the coroner cannot determine a cause of death. Like that one kid with all the holes in his body, but there was nothing on the outside to prove that he was injured. Geographical clustering. There's a geographical clustering effect to the victims that for the missing 401 profile. They can be 370 to 80 people in each geographic cluster, meaning there's just one point in the forest where there's been at least 10 missing cases. And there's these clusters all around the map where these people just seem to be going missing only in this small area.
Ew, I hate that. That's weird. Oh, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about the Santa Fe cluster.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to Santa Fe, New Mexico, which has one of the massive geographical clusters of so many people going missing strangely through the decades surrounding the Santa Fe National Forest.
Ooh, I'm happy I live in California now.
That's true, but you won't be seeing that.
Oh, fuck.
So the Santa Fe National Forest is divided into 5 districts, totaling 1.6 million acres.
Oh my god.
That's a big ass forest. Yeah. So I'm going to be talking about 3 very mysterious disappearances in this cluster. And they're all very similar. Okay. In the way that they go missing. So the first one we're talking about is Audrey Kaplan. She was 75 years old at the time of disappearing, July 30th, 2014. Audrey was with her husband in a house that they owned in Santa Fe. On July 30th, they decided to come up to the ski resort and look for mushrooms. For that location was popular mushroom picking site because it was summer. Okay. It's hot. The two hiked up the trail to the wilderness area and somehow they became separated. Audrey, who was in extremely good shape for a woman her age, suddenly couldn't be found. And then they started to search for Audrey because she's missing. So they needed not only to find her because she disappeared, but because it was insanely hot. Yeah. So like she could pass out from a heat stroke. This is middle of July. It's hot. Mm-hmm. So following her disappearance, intense thunderstorms hit throughout the mountainside.
But that's not uncommon though for a summertime, like.
No, but remember what I said in the just a minute ago. Yeah. I said
thunderstorms.
A weather event. Yeah. There appears to be a weather incident that happens in close proximity to the person disappearing. So how weird that she disappears and then suddenly there's a thunderstorm that hits.
Yeah. No, I get that. I'm like, but I'm trying to give it the benefit of the doubt like I usually do.
Yeah, I know. So following her disappearance, intense thunderstorms hit throughout the mountainside. SAR people, search and rescue, would still search in the torrential rain for Audrey. Which commitment. Thank you. Suddenly, days later, one searcher who went way off the primary grid area came upon a weird camping area that had been pretty much destroyed. Okay. He walked up to the site and saw a woman in the fetal position in about 5 or 4 inches of water. Oh. In a creek, deceased and naked.
Oh, no.
Her face was in the creek and her entire body was lying on its side in the fetal position. This was Audrey Kaplan, whose body was found on August 4th, just 5 days after searching for her.
Oh my god. Oh, the poor thing.
So the coroner would make a very strange report and determination.
Oh god, okay, what?
The report says, although there are no specific autopsy findings to indicate hypothermia, the circumstances of Miss Kaplan's death and lack of fatal disease at autopsy report cold exposed due to very low temperature at night. So they think maybe she died because one, she was naked, two, it got really cold. Mm-hmm. So the report would determine it was hypothermia, but there were no injuries to the body's interior or exterior to support that.
Oh, because like...
They said, well, they're saying it's probably hypothermia that killed her, but there's nothing showing on the outside or the inside of her body that would indicate that that's what actually killed her.
Because usually, I'm taking a guesstimation here. When you have hypothermia, I know your body like almost like seizes and tenses up, and your insides start kind of doing the same thing in a sense too.
Yeah. But here's the thing, in the report, they then go, there were no injuries that caused or contributed to death. Given that there is no report of the descendant's face being in water when found or circumstances documents to support that it had been found in water, it is unlikely that drowning played a role. So she had no exterior or interior damage. Mm-hmm. She had no water in her lungs or in her body. Her death was determined like a mystery. They say it was possibly hypothermia, but there's nothing to indicate that it was that killed her.
Whoa. Okay. Oh, that's all weird.
Yeah, it's very weird. So, another case that happened in this exact area is of a 61-year-old Melvin Nadell. Melvin Nadell went up to Elk Mountain in the Santa Fe National Forest to go elk hunting. He would then go later missing on September 6, 2009. Melvin lived about 2 hours away from Elk Mountain, so it was quite the drive to get there. He would arrive at Elk Mountain at about 4 p.m. He joined his two workplace friends who already set up camp. So fun fact, New Mexico is known for their big population of elk, deer, and bear. So it's a big hotspot for hunters all around the world.
Yeah, definitely.
Didn't know that. So Melvin's meeting his friends, right? They're going to go hunting. He makes the drive up there, gets there around like 4 p.m. It's getting late. Mm-hmm. So Melvin, a few days prior, had twisted his ankle really bad.
Oh, mood.
When he stepped into a gopher hole, which if you haven't done that before, it's the worst feeling in the world. I did that at the property, my uncle's property. It hurt like a bitch.
Oh, God. Ugh.
So once Melvin had joined a small hunting group at Elk Mountain for their evening hunt, he would stay close behind them as they took off ahead on their hike. Melvin would then go in the opposite direction at about 150 yards from the campsite to hunt as the others went up on their hike to the mountaintop towards the peak. Mm-hmm. And the reason why Melvin stayed so close was because of his ankle.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
He's like, I'm not going to join you guys. It's too far of a hike. My ankle's fucked up. I'm just going to go up to the tree line and hunt.
Yeah.
Right? I fucked up my ankle. And this is where we talk about that one bullet point, the point of separation.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, because boop, it's the minute someone decides to go on their own. So, by the way, he also didn't take his GPS with him because usually hunters do, and the only reason why he didn't take it is because he was only going to 100 to 150 yards away.
I was gonna say he's still close,
and it was so close that he didn't need it. It was so close in proximity, he didn't need it. So, when it got too dark out, the other two came down from the peak, his friends, and were hoping to see Mel at the campsite, but I think we all know he wasn't there.
Yeah.
His Jeep was there, but he wasn't. So they were shocked because he should have been at the camp by now, you know?
Yeah.
It's getting dark out. So the two men went looking for Melvin in the dark, shouting his name and shooting rounds into the sky, even leaving the car's high beams on so that if Melvin was lost, he could see the light and follow it through the trees. So another hunter would then soon come along, and he had a satellite phone. So they immediately called search and rescue, to which they responded with a canine ground team. The canines ended up finding a scent. Thank God. They found a scent. They tracked it to his makeshift blind he made out of like brush. If you guys don't know what a blind is, it's usually like a little tent that you hide in that's camo, and you stick your gun out of a window or your, bow and arrow, and you kill something. Yeah. But you can make them yourself out of like just tree branches and brush or whatever. So they went to his makeshift blind that he made. The dogs led him there, but he wasn't there. So a lot of people thought maybe he shot an elk and like went after it. But if that was the case, the canines would have picked up his scent past that location.
Yeah, like going towards.
But the scent, yeah, exactly. But the scent stopped right there. Of course. It didn't leave in any direction. And no items were left. Like his bow and gun, like, were gone with him. Like all that was there was just his blind. So they never found any of his belongings, and that's strange because he's carrying like an arrows, a pistol, a compound bow, which is heavy as fuck. Water, a heavy camouflage bag, heavy camouflage clothes, boots. And they were saying like he had so much crap with him, he would have dropped something. Yeah. And he didn't. And that's a lot of heavy equipment to take with you. So some speculated maybe he was attacked by a bear or an animal, but there was no shred of clothing or blood to be found, and the dogs would have picked it up. There were no body parts, bones, items, like there's nothing. It just happened. All that they found was just the blind. So the New Mexico State Police oversaw the search that included dozens of ground searchers, 2 helicopters, and multiple dog teams. The formal search lasted about 6 days. Continued efforts over the years followed have revealed no clues to Melvin's whereabouts. He just poofed. Yeah. And he was close to camp.
See,
that's it.
Poof, and that's the sadder part between like this one and the last one you just said. At least they found her body, even though they still couldn't determine her death.
And how she died, yeah.
But when it comes to these and where they can't find shit, nothing, it's like, it's really even worse. And it's sadder. Yeah. Well,
and the crazy thing too with like Audrey Kaplan's is that she was found way off the quote unquote like search grid. Yeah. Like some guy was like, I'm just going to check this place out. It's off the grid, but I'm going to go check it out. And thank God he did. How the fuck she get all the way over there? You know what I mean? So the third case goes with Stanley Vigil. He went missing on November 7th, 2017 at the age of 54.
These are good. I hate these dates. These dates keep getting closer and closer.
Yeah, because they get closer and closer. Yeah. Yeah. So this one is wild. So he went about 10 miles. Well, yeah. He was about 10 miles from where Melvin Nadell disappeared. He was about roughly 10 miles away from where that man disappeared in an area called Barilla's Peak.
Okay.
Stanley was in his vehicle with his father and another friend. They were driving the dirt roads looking for deer. Deer would jump out in front of them, and then Stanley would like jump out of the car with his rifle and go chase the deer. Yeah. I mean, that's a weird way of hunting, but okay.
Yeah.
If you don't want to sit in a blind all day, I guess you can just go chase them. So just as he was chasing a deer, right? He saw a deer, he hopped out and went to go chase him. A dense fog and heavy rain suddenly hit the area.
There it is.
There it is, right? So then the search breaks out because they can't find him. Because he went off into the woods chasing this deer in this fog and rain. So canines couldn't pick up his scent, and helicopters couldn't find him, and even professional trackers couldn't find any tracks. Not even deer tracks.
What the fuck?
Yeah, no footprints, no nothing. So 5 months later, an off-duty New Mexico State Police officer and his son are fishing in the Pecos River, and they find a body. It was the body of Stanley Vigil. Originally went missing on November 7th, 2017, and was found April 7th of 2018.
Ew. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure you're going to tell me. I'm sure you're going to tell me how his body looked. I was kind of scared.
So the coroner report would state that he had suffered skull injuries and he had 2 broken ribs, and that the determination was that he had drowned. Stanley was found 9 miles from his point of separation. But what makes this case and Melvin so crazy is that they happened back to back from one another, and that these cases happened in the same small cluster on these mountains. And where 9 miles doesn't sound far, but he was like in the mountain, like, peak. Like, it was like a valley kind of thing, but there was no rivers to, like, wash his body down.
Oh, that's weird.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
I know it was raining and like, oh, maybe there was like a flash flood, but that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
It was just found in this random river. So, the terrifying thing about these hunters going missing, I think we all need to understand, is that they have years of experience in the wilderness and in the wild. Like, they're professionals in survival situations, and they even have weapons to protect themselves. You know what I mean? Yeah. If they're in danger, but somehow these experts go missing or are found, but in like really inconclusive ways of death, or how their bodies got so far away from the location that they were missing at originally, which we've seen before, where they go missing here, but then their body's found like 500 miles away.
Yeah.
It's like, how the fuck does that even happen? So now, due to these occurrences, the majority of hunters are afraid to go into forests to hunt. So many of them who do venture in alone or far from the hunting group make sure to bring a satellite phone, a GPS, a flare gun, etc., because they could be this random statistics of just poof disappearing. So, and these highly experienced hunters who are professionals in the field for survival, like, they're even scared. Like, these people just fucking disappear, and they're so good at what they do. So for our campers listening, who decided to go into forest alone or not, I have made you a list of what you should bring.
Okay.
And what you should do if you're going to do this. If you're going to go hunting and find me a Devon a steak out in the woods, here's what you got to do.
Oh my God.
Number one, tell others of your location and time of entry and exit, so that if you are not out by the time you said you'd be back, they can alert the authorities.
That's fair.
Okay. Number two, check the weather. Number three, if you're lost in the woods, you should find shelter, you should start a fire, you should stay dry, and you stay put. Do not wander far. Just stay where you are. And number four, if you hear people looking for you, find a large clearing and wave something bright above your head or your body in a helicopter motion. So say you had like a red jacket, you want to take that off and wave it above you so that they see it and can find you. All right. So if you guys have guessed it, every case I'll be talking about is very bizarre. This next one, though, has me kind of stumped, and has a lot of people kind of stumped. And this case took over the course of 3 years. And this one, Devon, is going to make you scratch your fucking noggin really hard, because it's really freaky.
And it's really long. I'm like, wow, 3 years. Holy shit.
Yeah, so on September 3rd, 2014, Aaron Joseph Hedges and his two friends drove to Cottonwood Bench Road on their way to pack-in elk hunt. So a pack-in, when you hunt, is where basically you're camping, you're camp hunting. You take all your shit, you camp for about a week, and you hunt.
Okay.
So that's what they were doing. They're planning on staying awake and hunting. So where they camped and hunted was in these mountains that they called the Crazies. And legend states that the Native Americans that lived on this land and mountain and were removed from it, they cursed it.
Oh, great.
They said, if any white man goes on this mountain in this land, you're cursed. Okay. So they call them the Crazies. They call them the Crazies because they're said to make you crazy.
Okay.
And another thing, they are the youngest mountain range, a mountain peak and valley in the United States.
Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, so they park their cars and they load their gear at the parking area. And then they left for the long weekend hunting trip. So they took 2 horses and a mule to get there. They packed it all on and let's go off into the wilderness. Mm-hmm. So as I started on the trail to get to Campfire Lake, they had a horse wreck. The mule they had brought with them to carry all their stuff started to go crazy, if it was as if it was like spooked by something, and threw all the supplies off the trail.
Oh no, shit.
So all of Aaron's camping equipment was on that mule, and he ended up losing like his sleeping bag due to the accident and like a few other things. So once they get to Campfire Lake, they set up their base camp and they're like, all right, let's start to hunt. So September 5th, 2014, at around 9 a.m., Aaron Hedges had a cache somewhere below a lake called Sunlight Lake, and this was used for storage when they needed to hunt. And they assume he was getting supplies. He was like, you know what? I'm going to go up to my little cubby hole. I'll be back. I'm going to go grab some shit. Be back soon. Yeah. So they were cool with it. Later that day, as they're waiting for him to finally come back, one of his hunting friends, Nate, called Aaron on the walkie-talkie, like, "Hey, where are you, bud? It's been a fat minute, been a couple hours, and it's getting late. So like, where are you?" So the cool thing about their walkie-talkies, which I really want to buy a pair now, is that if I call you, Devon, there's a GPS on it that shows me where you're at.
Okay.
And then you can see where I'm at on your GPS. So it pings. So they see him, but he's somewhere like super far from where he should be. And they're like, okay, that's a little weird. Why is he so far away from where he said he was going to be, right?
Yeah.
So to get to the cache, there's, one trail that forks off.
Okay.
You go left, you go to the cache. You go right, it continues on this trail that goes through the mountain range, and you can hike it or whatever. So when they're looking at it, it looks like he's on that other trail that goes off into the mountainside. And from the looks of it, it looked like he kept going in that direction. And so they're like, okay, well, maybe they speculate maybe he got confused and he just went in that direction instead of the direction he's supposed to go in. But what didn't make sense is that there was a creek next to this trail called Sweetgrass Trail with water flowing towards the lake that they camped at, where the camp was located. So how couldn't this experienced hunter forget the direction he was in if he could just look at the water to his right and see the water going in the direction towards the lake that they're staying at?
Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense? So it just made it very, very bizarre. Like, how could he get lost? He went in the wrong direction. Why didn't he just look at the creek to the right of him? So his friends wouldn't call for help and would wait until the following day to look for him because it was getting dark. And they trusted he would get back because he was an experienced hunter and survivalist. And like, he'd probably show up in the middle of the night maybe. So the next day he wasn't there. So they took that following day to look for him. As they're looking for him, suddenly a huge snowstorm hit the mountain range.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, leaving about 18 to 24 inches of snow on the ground.
Oh my god.
Within 10 hours.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So the snowstorm would then push Aaron's friends to leave the search and now call for help from search and rescue. And both counties where he was found missing or to be found missing, Park County and Sweetgrass County, came together to search. So one county does their search on their side of the mountain while the other does their search on the other side of the mountain. And Sweetgrass County did the search where the ping set off.
Okay.
So they're searching there. So they looked everywhere. They looked everywhere on the trail. They couldn't find any sign of Aaron Hedges. Mind you, it was snow, like thick snow. Yeah. After searching all day, they didn't find any footprints on the trail. They didn't find anything coming in or off the trail. Dog couldn't find jack shit. He was poof, gone, right? Mm-hmm. So when the snow cleared, they ended up bringing more dog teams to help with the very steep and rough terrain. Suddenly, a German Shepherd had found something.
Okay.
The German Shepherd found Aaron's boots. His boots were found in a very rough and hard boulder field terrain.
What the what the fuck? Okay.
The section where they found his boots was weird. Why did he take them off? The team said even to hike through this boulder field, you have to have like really good boots or your feet are going to get tore up.
Yeah.
So alongside his boots, which by the way were placed perfectly side by side, right? Standing up. They found a camel pack filled with water, a partially burnt cigarette container that had the same brand that Aaron smoked, and a small fire that was put out, and his waist belt that had been cut off with a knife.
What the fuck?
So, yeah, just random. So they found the place where they found these items was in an open area next to some waterfalls. Now, the weird part is that the team had searched this area many times with and without dogs, and then suddenly, over the course of a single day, boom, it was there.
Ew. So it's, oh God. It's almost like, what comes to mind is either staged, or he really did come back and like he went batshit crazy and took all his shit off and left his boots there.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So it was the same group of people that searched this spot many times. So it was the same group of people.
Wait,
all working
but they
together.
would have had a scent going off and to and from. Oh, that's weird.
Exactly. The dogs would have picked up a scent too.
Yeah. Oh, that's weird.
Exactly. So someone even would have placed it. The dogs would have smelled it on said person. So, it's fucking wild. So, what?
My girlfriend keeps going, aliens.
She's just like, what do you do?
So these groups, right, said they never saw any of these items when they were walking through. And to give this group credit where credit is deserved, these people are SAR Tech 2 rated by NASA, which means like they're like experts. Like experts. Mm-hmm. So they wouldn't and could not see these things because they searched this area with a fine-tooth comb. So with all these items found, it starts to look like hypothermia. And someone who is hypothermic isn't going to get very far. Because usually when you're hypothermic, you feel very hot and you strip.
Oh.
Hence why they thought he took off his boots, because he's hypothermic. And you do really weird things when you're hypothermic. But as someone who supposedly is hypothermic, he wouldn't have gotten very far with no shoes on in snow. Mm. So, especially with this rugged terrain and no boots, and then it was cold. So they start to narrow down the search and start to look by the falls and the cliffs nearby. Because it was like right there, so maybe he fell and drowned in the falls and it took his body. You know, they're looking for stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So the formal search for Aaron Hedges ends on September 22nd, 2014. There was a total of 60 ground searchers, 20 canine teams, and 2 helicopters that failed to locate Aaron.
Fuck.
So a year later, June 22nd, 2015, 9 months has now passed since Aaron had disappeared. A man was fixing his fence around his property with his father. And on the ridge that borders his property and the neighbors, he finds something strange. The man's father finds an orange vest near a small tree. As he picked up the vest, he uncovered a backpack. And he thought that some random hunter lost his stuff, so he went through it and through the backpack's belongings and finds a license. And lo and behold, it is a license of Aaron Hedges.
What the fuck?
So when the father brought it to his son, the son instantly remembered of the lost hunter from the year before, and he alerted the authorities. Mm-hmm. When the authorities came to search the area, they found the backpack where it was. They found snack bars, more water, and his hunting equipment, which was a gun, a 44 Ruger Red Hawk, and his compound bow. In their search of the surrounding area, they found a thermos with hot tea inside and an energy drink freshly cracked open sitting on a rock. Both items belong to Aaron, and from where this was found on top of the ridge, you can see homes and buildings. So which makes everyone question, what the hell is Aaron doing? If he was so close to civilization, why didn't he go down and get help?
Wait. So this fool could be actually alive, and he's just fucking roaming around.
Exactly. So that's why they're like, what the hell is Aaron doing? So they ended up not finding anything more, and even after searching the larger area, they found no body, and they found no scent or trail of Aaron Hedges.
What the But that's the weird thing. It's like, why his scent just disappears? Is that it's just a shit just pops up?
How does stuff get there? Exactly. So another year goes by.
Okay.
August 8th, 2016. 23 months since Aaron has disappeared. On a ranch called Sweetgrass Ranch, which is also known as a dude ranch, where they have like dude rides, where basically they take a bunch of guests, aka dudes, on rides on the horses. So as they come up on a hill near what they call a bench, one of the guests spots a human skull. A human skull was found underneath a dead tree. They also find some remains of the body, which includes a pelvis and one femur near a cow trail that seemed to be partially buried. Aaron's cell phone and a thin jacket. No pants or socks due to the fact that they couldn't find his feet. None of the bones had any breaks. They didn't have any fractures or any kind of scratching, wear, and tear. These bones were also very clean and pristinely white. And the coroner couldn't come up with the cause of death. Aaron Hedges' remains were 11 air miles from where he was last seen and the location, and 6 miles from where his boots were found.
Did they determine that those remains for sure were him?
Yeah, dental records.
I was going to say, okay, dental records, but... What the...
So here's what doesn't make sense. So he could have seen the creek, right? He had water. A GPS signal was on his walkie-talkie, so he couldn't get lost. He had food in his pack. He had a lighter in his backpack to make fire. A gun he could have used to signal for help. If he was hypothermic, there was no humanly possible way that he could have gotten that far without dying first. And if you are hypothermic, you're unable to, like, you're so convulsing, right? You're freaking out. Why didn't he drop his bow and his gun and all these items along the way if it was heavy, right? It just doesn't make sense. So what caused him to change his course so drastically if he knew he had gone too far from the cache, or had even after he left the cache, he was still walking adjacent to the creek that's flowing downhill away from the location he's supposed to be in? His body was found 6 miles from the falls, where it's believed he shed his boots under the theory of hypothermia. But somehow hypothermic, he carries his bow, backpack, jacket, cell phone, and thermos again 6 miles through a 1.5 feet to 1.5 and 3 feet of fresh snow with no shoes. Then he sits on a rock and overlooks safety. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It makes no sense. And even if he, like, quote unquote, was murdered, right? If we're like, some people had speculated that, there was nothing on his body to determine that he was murdered. Like, usually there's, like, if you're stabbed, you'll nick bones or stuff. But his bones were completely clean. Not a scratch, not a dent, nothing. They were picked clean, white.
That's so gross and weird. Like,
his cell phone was fine. Everything was fine. There was nothing on his clothes too that showed that he was attacked either.
Wait, I'm confused. Is there... You're saying they found white, just bones, right? Only bones, not anything like no decomposing body, just the bones.
Yeah, just bones. This was, remember, 2 years later, or 3 years later. Sorry. And they also found his cell phone, a hat, his jacket, his no pants, no socks, no shoes. Mm-hmm. But there was no blood, no signs of, like, any kind of, like, animal attack on these clothes. His cell phone was in pristine shape, although they couldn't access it.
I'm shook.
It's funky. It's weird. It's mysterious. I don't get it. It just doesn't make sense.
I feel like only quote unquote logical thing I can think of is he really did go crazy and he went off on his own and then he just fucking died.
Yeah, but how could he have made it that fucking far?
It's true.
In 18 to 24 inches of snow with no fucking shoes on.
Yeah.
And then remember, you got to remember the point too. They searched that area and then suddenly his boots were fucking there.
Yeah. I don't fucking know. Oh my god.
It's exactly. It's one of those things where we're never going to find an answer, but it's just so annoying.
Yeah.
Because you want that answer. All right, so we're almost done. So Devon, we're coming at you now.
Oh no, Woo! No, go! Don't stay out of California.
We're coming to California. No! Yes, we're gonna be talking about another weird case in Sonora, California.
That's far. It's fine. You can talk about it.
It's still in California. So originally a mining town located at the foothills of the Sierra Mountains. And as beautiful as these mountains and forests are, campers.
I said, oh shit, that's not that far. Wait a minute.
Yeah, it's really not.
Sorry. Continue.
So as beautiful as these forests and mountains are, campers, they're not to be trusted.
Oh god.
Ever. There's a vista point called the Donnells. It's very hard to find because it's just off the side of the road, and if you blink, you'll miss it. Oh my god, look at you. You're searching it up.
The what? The Donnells?
The Donnells Vista Point.
to spell that. Don.
Donnells. That's how I spelled it.
Donnell's Vista Point?
Vista Point, Sierra Mountains.
Strawberry, California? That doesn't sound right. But Sonora.
Yeah.
Okay.
Show me a picture so I know you're looking at the right
Oh, it's far. All right, we're good. It's hella far.
You're gonna forget that one day. You're gonna forget it. You're gonna go. And you're like, oh, and then you're gonna get there and it's gonna click.
I'm gonna say, ooh,
Okay.
we're going by Stockton. I'm staying away the fucking about. Let's get that.
Oh my god. So this Vista Point is off the side of the road. Like if you blink, you miss it.
Mm-hmm.
But from this point, you can see a very beautiful mountain range. When you are at this point, you can see like a sheer vertical drop from the outlook as it looks over like a reservoir of water. So Jake probably would hate it just because it's such a steep drop. And Vista Points usually are like that. It's usually on like a peak and you're able to look out, and usually a really sheer drop. But not many people like to go to this Vista Point because of that reason. It already gives really bad vibes because of that. On October 2nd of 2016, Breck Phelps, a Tulum County fisherman, disappeared after leaving his car and hiking down to the river below. Up the road past the Vista, right? You go to the Vista. If you drive down a little bit of ways, there's like a small bank you can park at, and there's a small walking trail to get down to the river.
Okay.
So this is where they found his parked car, and this is the trail he went missing on.
Okay.
So Breck's pastor is the one who notified officials that he was missing the following day, October 3rd, 2016. They ended up bringing in like Cobra helicopters and 4 dog teams, which is wild.
Yeah.
Suddenly, a huge storm would hit, causing a huge delay in the search.
What the fuck?
It's weird. It's so weird. So after 5 days of searching for this man, he was never found. And why I mention this case is that it aligns with other disappearances that have happened on the same trail in the same region. Patricia Sue Tolhurst went missing April 18th, 2014. Anita Mary Mayo also went missing August 8th of 2005. Both who, like Breck Phelps, left their car off in the bank, same distance from the Vista Point, that took the trail to get down to the river and then disappeared. And no remains have ever been found.
Out of all of them?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And Anita's car, her purse, wallet, and cell phone were left, and the only missing thing was her camera. Also, the entire Vista region is covered in what? Massive boulders.
I don't like this. I don't like all these little fucking coincidences bullshit. It doesn't make any sense.
They all have a common similarity. So, like I said, you guys, which is another sign of how people go missing, is these boulder fields. And a storm happened after Homeboy went missing. So on April 28th, 2016, they did find something. And it was remains, but not the remains of any of the 3 people that I talked about that went missing. They don't know who this body belongs to, or even if and there was no deco records for this body.
What the fuck?
So just a random human skeleton found on this same trail. Yeah. So in the same region where these people, So in the same region where these people and many others have went missing under the same circumstance, literally, there is a hunting group that has been hunting there since the 50s. And some strange and unusual stuff has happened to them.
Okay.
But they have not disappeared. So that's good. So in the same area where all this people taking this trail down and fucking just poofing into the sky, in the same region, this hunting group who has been hunting there since the 50s, has also had unusual stuff happen to them there. And I'm going to talk about some of those things. Okay. So the reason why I'm going to be talking about them is because they have physical evidence to back up their claims.
Oh, is this the video you're talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, and they have audio, which I'm going to make you listen to. And everybody here listen to, because it is weird.
Oh, God, okay.
So now this location that they're going to talk about is undisclosed, But it's somewhere very close to Yosemite National Park, which, by the way, has more than 50 plus missing people cases, very similar, where they fucking go hiking and just poof.
Oh, I ain't going to.
And I love that
Yosemite.
national park.
I ain't going to. I don't let that
Exactly.
now.
I have a friend there right now. My friend Brian Chavez is there right now visiting Yosemite National Park.
Oh my God, tell him not to be
I
alone.
sent him a text. Exactly. And guess what he's doing? He's there alone.
Is he really?
So I told him, I was like, please, yes. He does it a lot. He takes solo trips to national parks. He does it all the
Oh my
fucking
God, I want to
time.
tell a story about
And
him.
every time he does
I want
it,
to tell a story about him. You better
no,
be okay.
Neither do I. So I always tell him, like, please be careful because people go missing. It's like, oh, you're just overreacting. I'm like, no, this is real.
Literally, we have 3 episodes
These are
about this
real
now.
Exactly. These are real cases. Like, these are real things that have fucking happened.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so they're located somewhere near here. So many of these men have been hunting there for years, again, since the 50s. They take a route to their camp up to this wilderness area that is about 8 miles with a 4,000 foot elevation change.
Ooh, that's a pretty
So it's up there.
that's a pretty big little jump.
Yeah. So they call this camp the Sierra Camp. This camp was built at this exact spot because this was the quote unquote what they said. This was the closest point to heaven as you would ever get.
Oh wow.
The 4 original members of the camp included Warren and Lewis Johnson, Bill McDowell, and Ron Moorhead. The Sierra Camp is described as so remote that there's plenty of deer, bear, and wildlife. There is also an abundance of granite around this site. A fresh spring also runs near the campsite, always providing fresh water. It has all the necessities. Also, it is a dry camp, so no alcohol whatsoever.
Okay.
Which is smart
Yeah.
because you're a hunter and you're holding weapons.
Yeah, exactly.
So. The men who are part of this hunting club at the campsite have been experiencing something very scary and unusual, to which they still do not know what they were dealing with. So, I have the audio clip for you. I'll play it for you guys, but Devon, you can find it in the drive. Okay. So, it's in the drive. Okay. And to all the campers, they decided to record these weird sounds that they were experiencing. So, Devon, you're more than welcome to listen. You'll be able to tell who is the human and who isn't.
Wait.
I'm gonna listen to something.
It's called. It's listen to the one that says Hunter Noise Sounds, not ending statement. Hunter Noise Sounds in the folder that says Saubs.
I see it. Okay, I'm gonna play it right now.
I don't know what we're dealing with, but it was something very unusual. Strange things happen, and most of the stuff happened in the evening time, just at dusk, nighttime, like now. The first time I ever heard anything was later in '71. I came back up with the guys, and we was here by the stove. There was a stove here then. And as soon as it starts getting dark, we'd go in. Sometimes you might hear a grunt or a whoop or a big blowing sound or something like that, and that's when you know you want to get inside the shelter because you still don't know what you're dealing with. Whatever it is big, very, very big. We all go inside, close the shelter door, and that's a log that we put between these trees, and then we'd strap it inside a cable. And then they would start making their sounds. And that was in '71 when I first started hearing them, and we started recording them.
There's 2 of them across the creek at the big rocks.
We were all talking about maybe having to shoot our way out. You're just sitting there, all of you are kind of petrified. You're just waiting for the walls to break open, something reach in there and grab you and hold you up, and waiting for the light to break in the cracks of the walls, and never happened. That's the strange part, because you hear it over there, but you don't see it over there. As time went on, 72, same thing. You know, whatever it was we thought might be trying to scare us out. Maybe this is their territory, but we don't know. We can only guess at why they were doing what they were doing, and that they were observing us, that's for sure.
So these guys are very expert. So like, I know people like, maybe it's owl, maybe it's a wolf, maybe it's a coyote, maybe it's a cougar, a mountain lion, because they can sound like that. So, but these men have been hunting for many years. And the reason why they recorded it is because they have never heard anything that sounded like that ever. And they know they're animals. So Ron and his team, right, wanted scientific validation of the sounds they experienced at their camp. So they submitted their tapes to Dr. R. Lynn Curran, who at the time was a professor for electrical engineering at the University of Wyoming. They really wanted to try to understand what the hell that they kept hearing. And also, again, remote part of the woods. No one knew where this fucking place was.
Yeah.
So the analysis revealed that these sounds were made by a creature physically larger than a man based on the pitch and sound.
Yeah.
Height estimated at 7'3"
Wow.
or 8 foot. There was more than one creature recorded.
Yeah.
So the format frequencies found were clearly lower than human, and their distribution does not indicate that they were a product of human vocalizations or speed alteration. It also included that the tape shows no indication of being pre-recorded or re-recorded.
Because it was weird. It was like the pitches in the beginning sounded higher, and when they were mocking them, it sounded very similar, you know. But then it kept shifting. It kept shifting a lot, and sometimes it would still sound human, but then at the next point, it would sound very dark and deep and just terrifying, and then it would get really high. So it made no sense.
And then too, when you can hear the hunter because it was closer to the mic, it'd make a sound, and then it sounded like other things were talking to each other. You know what I mean?
When I heard that part, I just
conversing, and then like they were conversing, and then would sound off to the hunters again, and the hunters would reply, and it sounded like they were like whoever these things were talking.
Exactly.
And it was weird. Especially when they start like laughing. That laughing weird.
Yeah, it sounded like they were going like back
part.
and forth for a minute, and then you can hear the hunters going like, "What the fuck?
I think it's demonic.
What the fuck is that?" Yeah. So, one of the hunters, Scott Nelson, believes that maybe the tapes are evidence of an uncharted intelligent life form. He then goes on to back that theory up with the fact that these voices have been identified as being too high of a frequency for humans, and that in the recording, many of the voices heard besides Ron's were communication with another in their audio recording, which we just talked about, them talking back and forth. At the time and place of 1974 in the remote area of the woods, it would be impossible to fake.
Oh, yeah.
And they had nothing to gain from this because they didn't want media attention because their camp was hidden. It remained hidden, and it's a remote part of these forests. They just wanted answers to the strange phenomena. They didn't go to any media. They didn't go to any press. They didn't do any of this shit. The only reason why that they are out talking about it is because they had family who also went missing randomly in these forests.
Wow.
Like, poof. And in their area. So they just want answers.
Yeah, completely.
And Homeboy was like, I can be that voice for you guys. I'm not going to tell you where this is at. You know what I mean? I'm still going to hide this for you guys. Because they had nothing to gain. They don't want any money. They just want to hunt. And this is just something that they have experienced a lot, and they wanted to get some kind of answers, which they kind of did. So besides these weird like vocal noises, Some of the other strange sounds they have heard are a large tuning fork of sound above the camp. You know what a tuning fork is? It's like, you know those little bowls you ding and you just move
Oh, it's one of the
around?
ones and you hit
Goes
it and it goes and it has that buzzing noise to it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that happened. In the documentary, they would hear that right above their campsite.
Ew, what the
And it
fuck?
would just be so loud. They also said that one night it sounded like their camp was being ransacked by a bear. And they couldn't see it out of their makeshift cabin, which was literally like a bunch of fucking sticks. And they could hear something in camp just fucking wrecking everything. And when the sound died down, they assumed it was a bear, and the bear got what it wanted and left. When they stepped outside and drew their guns to check out the noise, everything was in place and untouched.
What? Oh my god, that's so weird.
Yeah. Sometimes they say they can hear like a machine door or like a car door slam or some kind of machinery slam. They said the hunters go on to say, besides these weird and strange noises, they have seen orbs or lights above the camp. One of the more memorable sights was with Ron and another hunter who were sitting in the middle of the camp when a giant blue orb hovered through the trees past them and into the forest. July 2016, Ron and his wife Carrie stayed at the camp for 3 days. As they were winding down for the day, as the sun was setting, they heard a large something crashing through the woods behind them. Then they saw an elongated light about 3 feet long, looking very similar to a lightsaber, as it glowed and then floated through the trees and then disappeared into the forest.
Fucking
Aliens.
Fucking aliens.
Hell no, I don't think
Fucking
that's
aliens.
aliens.
So-
I think that's demons.
Something is something, but it doesn't hurt them. So why do these men keep coming back to this location? Well, the mystery that surrounds it. They say that it's a mystery that needs to be solved or understood. Ron does go on to say that he does not or will ever reveal this area's location because the last thing he wants is researchers coming up there disturbing the remote wildlife. So, in 2014, the United States Forest Service discovered the camp and forced the hunters to remove the stone and the barrels and dismantle the structure, but remnants of the building of the site can still be seen. They still go there, they just can't build on it. So in the summer of 2018, a hard and brutal wildfire burned up much of the Tulum County and the Sierra Camp region. But somehow, the camp and the tall trees next to the fire pit, the building, and the creek was untouched by the flames.
I'm shook.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wild, right?
Yeah, completely. What the fuck?
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, real quick, I have a really minor story. It's going to take like 10 minutes, maybe 5. I wasn't sure I was going to put this in or not. I didn't write it out, but I remember it. But I put it in here, Predator. It's called Predator Story ?
Okay.
This lady, she was out for like an evening hunt as the sun was going down. As she was hunting up in her tree stand, she said she saw, for what it looks like, this weird saran wrap looking blob come out of a tree. And it looked very similar to Predator when he's cloaked.
Yeah.
And she said it hopped from tree to tree to tree. And while all this was going on, a band was performing on their football field for their game, like for rehearsal, and a giant UFO light was shining up above them on the field. And the whole school and a lot of the neighborhood saw this random UFO flying above them. And then the lady was how weird, because what a coinky dink that as that was happening, that I saw this weird alien thing in the woods by my house hopping from tree to tree. And she did try to take a picture of it. And it's weird because she was taking selfies of herself with her little BlackBerry. But when it gets to that picture, it's super cropped and it's super blurry because she tried to take a picture of it. And then every other picture back to that is normal.
That's so weird.
That was a weird one. Anyways, so you guys, I'm going to be playing you guys a closing statement for Devon, for you guys by David Paulides. so we can wrap up part 3 of Don't Go Into the Forest. So enjoy.
When looking at these cases individually, Aaron Hedges, Tom Messick, Mel Liddell, it's easy to pass them off as isolated, strange occurrences, anomalies. But when you look from an informed perspective and you see hundreds of victims following the same profile points scattered throughout our national forests and national parks, you have to stop and question the reality of it. Is it possible for an 82-year-old man with heart, eye, and hearing issues to simply vanish while sitting alone in the woods? Can a man with severe hypothermia hike 6 miles through 1.5 to 2 feet of snow with no shoes? In many of the cases, rifles, pistols, and archery equipment are never found. These items don't blow away, and animals don't drag them off. Sometimes their remains are found miles and miles off track, where the victim had no intention of ever going. Often they're found in an area that's been searched dozens of times. It's like they've been placed there after the searchers have left. To this point, we've investigated close to 1,200 cases that fit the missing 411 profile. They're not all hunters. Some are children. Some are people vacationing in national parks. Some are just out taking a walk in nature. Each are beyond the scope of normal scientific understanding.
And we're back. I really hope you liked that closing statement. I think he wrapped everything up really nicely. I don't mean to terrify you guys of the forest, of going out in nature and hiking. I do it all the time. I just want to tell campers, like, you shouldn't be afraid to go outside in wilderness. The nature is so beautiful, but just be careful and be prepared and know your surroundings. Again, tell people where you're going, what time you'll be out, especially if you're going to go like deep hiking. Especially a place you've never been before, like you just need to be careful. As much as like it is this is terrifying, people go missing. Of course I can't tell you like the magic answer to like not have that happen to you, but just be careful.
It's all informing. It's, you know, there's a bigger picture out there than we're just trying to scare you.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason why like I really like these cases is because they're so mysterious and there's no answers, and they're still happening to this day. It wasn't like something that was happened in the 60s. Like these are still going on, and these people are just disappearing into thin air.
Yeah.
And it's wild. It's weird. And even like the guy, like the David Paulides, he's not a paranormal guy. He's not. Like he's definitely not into that kind of thing. And he definitely looks at it from a scientific standpoint and like a PI standpoint and police standpoint. And he's just like, it's just weird. I don't know what's going on. And hopefully he's like, I can find an answer or understand what's going on.
As he said himself, it's beyond science, at least what we know right now, for scientific research.
It's wild, but I hope you guys really enjoyed this. It was a long episode, but worth it because it's terrifying.
Yeah. I'm scared.
And we're gonna be back with a joke. What kind of music should I put on?
It's something funny and uplifting. Fuck, I don't know. Oh, there was a song request. Como la flor.
Oh my god! Hold on. Let me pull up the lyrics.
Well, we can't get copyrighted, so.
Because of Selena, we have to.
Como la flor.
Wait
Con tanto amor. Hold on. Me diste tú. Se marchito. Me marcha hoy. Hoy se perder. ser, pero ay, como me duele. Ay, como me duele. All right, campers, and we're back with some jokes. I got two for you. They're kind of like story jokes.
Okay.
All right. Get your mind off this. So 3 friends decide to go on a hiking trip.
Okay, they're dead.
But they get lost in the wilderness and wander around for hours. They stumble upon some strange tracks in the forest. The first friend says, "These are moose tracks." The second says, Nah, these are clearly bear tracks. The third friend, however, did not get a chance to see anything as he is run over by a train.
That fucking dumb. How sad.
Sad.
Oh my God.
So this one, a man got lost on a camping trip. Rescuers scoured the wilderness until a medical emergency team finally spotted a solitary figure across a wide chasm. "Charlie Smith!" someone shouted. "Is that you?" "Yes, it is!" came the reply. "Who are you?" "We're from the Red Cross." "I already gave blood at the office." Charlie shouted back.
What an idiot.
Idiot, I love it.
He's like, oh God,
you
pick his dumbass up.
He's like, no, he doesn't need to be saved. Thank you, campers, for listening to this very intense and gut-wrenching kind of story.
Yeah.
If you would like to see a lot of the images from this, because okay, I kind of had to bootleg it because you can't like screenshot on Amazon Prime because it'll turn black because they know. So I took up my little phone and I'm like, click.
Fair.
So you see my little phone screen grabs from it. But you guys definitely should go check it out. Missing 411 The Hunted and Missing 411. They're both on Amazon Prime. It's free if you have Amazon Prime. Definitely go watch it. It's very interesting and very just. It's like I don't know how to explain it. It's like the feeling of these stories is like you crave something, right? Like that specific taste. You eat everything in your kitchen, but whatever you ate didn't satisfy that urge or that taste you were wanting, right? And it's kind of like how I feel with these stories. Like I'm craving they found them, they're safe, and this is what happened to them, and we never get that.
Fair. Yeah, that makes sense. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. And it sucks. Yeah. And there'll be many more. I have found more cases that we will talk about for a future time.
Okay.
That are just more terrifying than the rest. And these ones are going to be a little bit more creature feature related.
Oh, okay. So, interesting.
Because that was like the first one. The first one was very much creature feature.
Yeah.
The second installment of this was very much like kids going missing, which is terrifying.
Yeah, that was sad.
And this one was more like adults, experienced hunters, people that know the land. Gone.
Yeah, totally.
So, anyways, campers, you're more than welcome to look at our pictures that we have taken on our Instagram. And it is called
at campinsomnia_podcast.
Exactly. You can listen to all of our recordings. Oh, and there'll be where?
On the link tree in our bio, which we will have everywhere. You can listen to us, see us, do all the things with us, not to us because that's weird. Oh, never mind, Zach.
That's true. Yes. And thank you, campers, for listening. And honestly, like, good luck trying to sleep tonight.
Shit. I legit, I know I'm gonna have a hard time tonight. I'm gonna go watch a movie or something to make me feel better.
It's late for me too. Damn.
You gonna be okay?
Thanks. All right. I'll be fine. All right, campers. Good night. And see you later.
Yeah. Bye.
Como la flor.
Cuesta amor.
Como la flor.
Okay, bye.